Hey, welcome to the channel. My name is Kryptonite from Drip to Wealth, and every Wednesday, 5 p.m. Central Standard Time, we host spaces with a special guest. But this week, we did it on a Thursday, and we had a surprise guest, and that was SK from Elephant Money, the Herd. But the conversation was around what the beep is going on in DeFi. And because SK was there, we actually turned it into somewhat of an elephant money conversation, but we shared the love. We included a few other protocols in the DeFi space. So look, before we get into this video, do me a favor, like, subscribe, throw on your bell notification. That way you get notified anytime we drop a video. In the meantime, I do wish you all peace and prosperity. Stay hydrated. Enjoy.
Right on. Perfect. Thanks, Emmett. Okay, Trap, I see you. All right, let me see if I can get one or two of you guys to join me. We may be closer to 30 minutes today, which is fine. But here's what I wanted to go through, because I don't want to waste any time. Let's just get into it. DeFi. That's a term that we take for granted, but I don't think a lot of people in crypto really know the difference between cryptocurrency and what we consider DeFi. I think DeFi is a bit more mysterious because it's a little more difficult to get access to, right? Because we're talking about a bunch of decentralized exchanges. So I'm not talking about Coinbase and Robinhood or Binance USA, which a lot of average crypto investors have access to, right? Because they're plugging in their bank account. They're using the funds from their bank account to then transfer over to the decentralized exchange and buy and sell coins like Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, Matic, ADA, which in most cases you can make pretty good money, especially when you compare it to traditional finance. You can make really good money. When I say really good money, I'm talking about X's, right? A 2X, a 3X, a 4X, a 5X, depending on the cryptocurrency that you invest in. So when I think most people think about crypto, they're thinking about the few that I mentioned. And we play in more of a high stakes area, which is, DeFi. So you've got to be a bit more savvier to access cryptocurrencies that are starting, right? Like they've got their initial public offering using traditional terms. And not a lot of people are aware of that space, which feels pretty cool. You know what I mean? Like, don't most of us want to buy cryptocurrencies before it goes public? Because in those cases, we get it, on the low. We get it for the cheapest price. So in those cases, there's high probability that we're going to make some real money. But there's a lot of risk associated with getting in so early. And DeFi is an extremely early space. So I want to get into, some of the risk associated with being in DeFi, but more importantly, there's a ton of benefits as well, right? But the only reason I really wanted to bring this up, and you guys can jump in, is this past week I just saw some really crazy stuff happening in a handful of cryptocurrencies. And I was like, what the fudge is going on, man? Like, can we really make money in DeFi with all of this nonsense that's kind of going on? And, one or two of the things that I'll mention is I think it's the big O well, right? How many people have been a part of big O well? Give me a thumbs up if that was something you had invested money in. You could do a thumbs up or a thumbs down, depending on how you really feel. But I did not get in that one. And I actually did not get in that one only because I just lost the appetite of risking so much money, because I've been in literally dozens, if not hundreds of other cryptocurrencies, very high risk in this space. And probably 70, 80% of them, I didn't make any money. So I was like, in this bear market, I need to be smarter about where I'm investing my capital. So I didn't get into big O well, but I'm still a degen, so I'm still going to play the game, but I didn't get into that one. But when I saw that there was an exploit, I was sad, because I'm thinking, here we go again. We got another protocol that, for lack of better terms, there's a weakness in their code, right? There's a weakness in the code that was then exploited, or AKA hacked, by either internal folks or maybe external. Like, you really don't know in this space, you really don't know. And then I saw what took place with Elephant Money too. And Elephant Money, I've got more confidence in Elephant Money, but I was still shocked by what happened there, this past week. They dipped down 20-25% in 48 hours. When you see stuff like that, you get a little nervous. So I'm like, man, what the fudge sickle's going on in DeFi, right? Let me ask you this. Anybody on the call who is, by show of hands, invested in Elephant Money? Let me see. Anybody invested in EM? Give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Okay, Trappist, Nugs is in there too. Sweet. Okay, Emmett. All right. Let me ask you guys this, if you're okay. Okay, NYC. No. All right. Let me ask you this. Did you guys get nervous at all, or did you? I think I know the answer. I think I'll speak for myself. When I first saw the sell-off in EM, I definitely got a little concerned just based off the history, because I've been in there from day one, not technically, but a month or so after it was open for us to buy the EM token. So I've been there quite some time, and I experienced the exploit as well. But I was naive to the game at the time. I had put my money in there. I saw the bottom fall out, and I was like, you know what? That was money. I was willing to risk it for the biscuit. And in fact, I'm not even sure how to take it out. So I'm just going to forget about it and chalk it up as a loss. And the fact that I was naive, it actually benefited me, right? Because I wasn't able to take it out. And over that time, they've tightened up the smart contract. They've built back confidence in the community. The community itself has expanded, right? And you've got, what I consider like smart money over there, really helping the dev architect an even better product. And the result of all of those things is a much higher EM token price. So my investment like tripled just by doing nothing. So then you fast forward to this past week, and I see this massive sell-off. So of course I'm panicking a little. And then you turn on YouTube and you listen to a handful of influencers. And for those that are hating on EM, they just poured it on really thick, right? So they start attacking BT. They start attacking the smart contracts and the functionality. And they're kind of reminding people that, hey, we've seen this play run before. You better take all your money out. And for the first time, I was like, you know what? I'm actually going to form my own opinion. I'm not going to listen to some influencer because I don't know what their intentions are. And that's the hard reality. That gets me back to DeFi. We don't know what anybody's intentions are in this DeFi space. And because of that, I was like, you know what? I'm not going to listen to what you're going to do. I'm going to listen to your content around tokenomics, how this thing works, but I'm going to form my own opinion about what I do with my money because I know what my intentions are. So I blocked out the noise and took the information that I gathered as a sell-off. You had original investor, OG investors who were there prior to the exploit, lost a significant amount of money. Once we finally got back to an all-time high, they said, look, a great time to take profits. Maybe take a little money off the table. No problem. You should do that. In fact, we should all do that because we can all think about an example where we didn't take any money off the table and we regretted it. So I was like, you know what? I'm not going to do that again. So I respect anybody willing to take money off the table and do it whenever they want to. But of course, when that happens, right, then a little FUD kicks in. So everyone panic sells because they see the blood in the streets. So the selling gets a little more aggressive, because people just don't know what the hell they're doing. It's like, wait a minute, there's a sell off. It's elephant money. I've seen this before. Let me get out of here. Right? Let me get out of here. And I said, let me go back to my principles, the basics. And the basic says, buy low, sell high. So those people that were in elephant money, they were following the fundamentals. The price was near an all-time high. They were selling high. What? You're supposed to do. And somebody like me, who wasn't really comfortable with my position because I was looking to add to my bag, I was like, okay, there may be an opportunity for me to buy low. Again, going back to the fundamental principles. So for me personally, blocking out all the noise, I bought more elephant tokens at a 23% discount. You know what happened? My position went up nearly 10% because I made a decision based off of my financial situation, my principles, and my long-term goals, not somebody else's, right? So what I'm learning in DeFi is there's opportunities to be made across the board. You just got to figure out what's best for you. You got to make decisions that make sense for you, right? So that's what I'm learning. Principle number one, base your financial decisions off what works for you, not some damn YouTube influencer because you have no idea what their intentions are, right? Let me get you in here, Emmett. And I'm filling space until we add more people. Here's the other thing too. And Trap, you can appreciate this because you're a winner. And I don't want to put your business out in the street, but I'll just say this about Trap. Trap is a very smart and sophisticated investor, right? Trap, he travels in and out of multiple communities in DeFi. And because of that, he's able to really frame up really good investment decisions. But Trap is also a degen, right? A very successful degen. So he appreciates the art of gambling because for him, he's really successful at it. Okay. Someone like me, I'm not as successful in gambling in real life. That's not just how I roll because I just don't spend enough time really trying to understand it. And then my background in finance around really mitigating risk, right? So we don't want to put ourselves in a situation where the risk is at capital. So we avoid risk. That's been my education. That's how I've been trained. So I don't want to play in that space because in my mind, I work too hard for the money. So because of that, personally, I don't gamble as much. So I'll go to the casino maybe 2 or 3 times a year. I'll take my $100. Once the $100 is gone, you can find me in the buffet. Right? You can find me in the buffet, chilling. Or if they've got a club or a concert, that's where you can find me. But I didn't approach it that way in DeFi. I treated DeFi like a blue chip stock with all of these parameters in place, with a superior management team, with a superior product and service, with governing bodies managing decisions, right? With the government itself overseeing actions, right? Requiring them to report tax returns, right? None of those things. But I treated it like that, which means I overextended myself financially because I didn't treat it like gambling, right? DeFi is kind of like gambling because we're investing in startups. We're investing in startups. And startups, probability of success in the real world are pretty low, right? Probably 50% within the first 3 years. It's pretty low. With all of the fundamentals in place, their likelihood of success is less than 50%. But we're talking about DeFi that doesn't have any of these restrictions in place. Their probability of success, in theory, should be much less, right? So, understanding that as we decide to invest our money, we've got to think about the risk involved in a real world sense. The probability of success in a lot of these projects is relatively low. So, because we know that going in, we've got to think about not aping into these projects, but really DCAing in so that we can really see how things play out slowly over time. You know what I mean? So look, I spent, I don't know, 5 or 10 minutes talking to myself. Let me start to get some people in here, right? So where I'm leaving you at is like DeFi, man, there's risk involved. We'll talk about that initially, but then we'll talk about some of the crazy benefits associated with DeFi and choosing the right protocol and how that can change your life. But leaving it right where I started, which is this aspect of DeFi, high risk gambling. Am I overstating it? Is it that simple or is it a bit more complicated? All right. NYC, Emmett. I saw you guys jump on as speakers. What are you guys thinking?
KK, can you hear me good?
Yeah, Emmett, I can, my friend.
All right. Listen, you started your talk going over the last couple of days interestingness on the elephant chart,
Yeah.
and so I jumped into Telegram and checked out to see if the main man SK Crypto K was
I see him in
available.
here now too. SK, what's happening? Nugs, Neptune.
Um, SK, can you request for a speaker and
Yeah, let me.
explain to us a little bit how the last couple of days is materially different than last year's exploit, and how quick can I go down to the Lambo dealer?
Oh
I
my
mean, the
goodness.
important things, the important things.
Right. Hey guys, do me a favor. Make sure I don't ask for this one, but I know it's Thursday and people aren't expecting the spaces on a Thursday. Do me a favor. Why don't you guys go ahead and share and retweet really quick, please? I want to get more people involved because I know they were looking for it yesterday, and I'll do the same thing. SK, appreciate you joining. Do you clearly you understand what Emmett is asking, right? I just want to make sure. If not, we'll have Emmett re-ask the question so that you get it, brother.
Yeah, just let me make sure I got it right. You want me to detail what's happening recently or a year and a half ago on Elephant?
I was asking, could you do a quick
It,
compare and contrast, because I know it's different what happened, and I'm much less worried today than I was a year ago, even though I'm not sure that I understand elephant as well as I want to yet.
Gotcha. I think I understand. So at any point, feel free to jump in with me and stop and ask clarifying questions. But so Elephant is a protocol being over 2.5 years old now. A year and a half ago, right? So a year into its existence, the token did go through a vulnerability on a mint redeem function for the trunk token. It's a sister token to Elephant. And more or less, with this flash loan that occurred, there was nothing administratively breached on Trunk or Elephant tokens. However, this treasury, aka Bertha, you've probably heard the name, um, there was a $331 million flash loan that these attackers took. I think 90 million of that went into buying Elephant token on the BUSD pair, and then the remaining 260 some odd million went directly into minting Trunk token. And so at the time, when you mint Trunk token, it was a 75%, 25% split. So, for example, if you put in $1,000 worth, you would put $750 into the BUSD Treasury, and then $250 as an immediate purchase on Elephant token. So when you have 261 million coming in to do that 75-25 split, you are lopsiding the Elephant LP pool, and then they're able to immediately redeem the same 75-25% out. So long story short, when you inject that amount of money and you loop it in a smart contract that they had a coded smart contract that maliciously looped it hundreds of times per one block, they were able to lopside the two LP pools for Elephant token, extract out a ton of value, selling against the LPs on itself, and they basically were able to drop this Elephant treasury of all her token count and value. And not only did they pay off their $331 million flash loan, but they pocketed $11 million that they tornado cashed into like 11 wallets or something. That's more detail than I usually go into on AMAs and such if you see me out there. But bare bones, that's pretty much what happened. And when the Elephant Treasury Bertha gets zapped. So remember, she's supposed to be a whale in the system owned by the protocol that does not dump on you. And we were going parabolic because she had amassed such a size of 212 trillion tokens out of the 1,000 trillion that will ever exist. And she was squeezing the price up. She had token dominance on the LPs and the supply. But when that flash loan extracted all 212 trillion tokens out of her bag, as parabolically as we were going up, is also how fast we crashed, because she was like a spring-loaded action, right? Squeezing up the price, and then when you uncoil the spring, she relinquishes all that pressure. So that's what happened a year and a half ago, and it's been a long and arduous road up. But here we are again. Bertha isn't quite the size she was back then. Remember, she was 212 trillion at that time. Today, she's only, I got to check, probably like 177 trillion. So she's still a far cry from her previous height, but we are starting to see a lot of that supply squeeze on the LPs, the scarcity, the rarity of the token factored in with supply demand. You are starting to see that chart go up even in a bear market. So does that make sense so far, Emmett?
Yeah, that's great. I knew you were the right man to ask this question to.
Yeah.
Why was he the right man to ask the question to, Emmett? Why did you say that? Has he been on an EM tour? AMA after AMA?
I think I've mainlined about 45 hours of SK's AMA tour over the
Right.
last week, trying to get myself up to where I'm happy understanding the protocol. And those details, the way that flash loan worked, I never quite understood. And so I'm super happy now.
Good.
Man, if you've listened to that many AMAs, you're probably sick of my voice by now. But the
reality
Your
is
voice
he's
is
probably
okay.
been
It's a
very
modulator.
serious. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's good. The biggest takeaway though from what happened a year and a half ago is that statement that I made earlier. Nothing administratively was breached with the protocol, which is also why you never saw a version 2 of Elephant token come out, right? You never saw the protocol completely die. There's deep liquidity across these LP pools, and when the flash loan occurred, BT was able to put everything out onto a Medium article, just following with update after update. Okay, here's where these are the 11 wallets where the Tornado Cash funds went to. We've got the FBI on this. Nothing administratively was breached. This is what we're making changes to, so this can't happen again. And really, all that transparency did was bolster the confidence of the hardcore, such as myself. Now, you do have a lot of people that did check out, right? You know, BT has a track record over his 6 years in DeFi where there have been exploits, there have been successes, there have been failures. And in a lot of haters' mind, this was just yet another thing, stay away. But you know, I think in the last 1.5 years, people are really starting to see the writing on the wall. Like when you really look into the details of how this flash loan occurred and the protections that are now in place that bolster everything. You know, he even brought on a third auditor called Peck Shield, and between them, Certic, and I don't even know the third one, Solidity or something, they went through the entire ecosystem yet again with a fine-tooth comb. And now you have a protocol at this point in time today that arguably is the best bucket in DeFi, where you pour water in and that shit don't leak anymore. So yeah, it's pretty exciting.
So SK, so let's do this, man, because your timing is fantastic. Because you popped on right when I was bringing up, you know, what some of the risks are around just the DeFi space in general, and part of that is the smart contracts itself, and the fact that, you know, sometimes I'm just going to use a very colorful adjective to make my point. Sometimes there's just weakness in the contract itself, and it leads to being exploited by internal and or external folks, right? Bad actors. So being that BT, to your point, had, emphasis on the word had, a past where some of his projects were exploited due to code weakness, what gives people that confidence that, you know, a lot of that stuff has been shored up? Or can it really be shored up because it's technology and you really just need things to be exploited? Again, using a very colorful adjective to make the point. Sometimes you need things to be exploited to see where the weaknesses are. And then it's your job as a developer plus your team to shore those things up. So every minute, day, week, month, year that passes, it just continues to get stronger. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Oh no. It's really good.
Does that make sense what I'm saying? So
It does.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah. No, beautiful question. And what I would say to that too is, you know, overall, when you look at the DeFi landscape, you know, there is a narrative out there that it pretty much is dead. Now, I say DeFi when realistically everything is DeFi with Bitcoin. It's decentralized finance. But I'm talking about when quote unquote DeFi kicked in DeFi summer of 2020, when bankroll flow and like all of these smart contracts version of DeFi really started to take the industry by storm. Now, since then, yes, there have been a number of different projects that myself included have diversified myself into. And, you know, really what I see is some of these teams can be the most genuine of intended, you know, genuine of intentions that they have, and they have beautiful white papers and everything's really good, but it ends up just foiling or crumbling on itself because they rely too much on, you know, Ponzi-nomics, and I'm going to use that term loosely as well. And with these 2 to 3 years worth of these Ponzi-nomic protocols coming out, and you know, the handful of people win at the expense of others. Now you're at a point this year in 2023 where people just don't believe in DeFi, quote unquote, any longer because these things don't pan out. And especially with, you know, drips fall and the change that's going to happen with the faucet, and just any other protocol. I don't even have to name them all, but there's just something to be said about how, prices are going down and people's trust in this segment of DeFi just isn't there anymore. Now,
Hey,
go ahead.
hold on one sec. SK, I want to make sure because I've gotten 2 messages
Sure.
that people are cutting in and out. So I just want to see how we're doing because I don't want to lose people. Maybe that's the problem. All right, do me a favor. Give me a thumbs up if you guys can hear me and SK loud and clear. Okay, so Mighty Mo4, you were one of the ones. I want to make sure. Give me a thumbs up, Mighty Mo4, if you're still there. And I think Dan may have been the other one. Want to make sure. No, it was Alexandre. You're still there? No. Okay. So maybe it was just them because we've got a handful of people that still said that they can hear us fine. All right. If you guys are having issues with the volume or if you're getting static, I would just say disconnect and try to rejoin us, please. All right. Okay, SK, I didn't want to cut you off, but I didn't want you talking, leaving gems and people couldn't hear you. That'd be a complete waste of time.
Right.
All right, my
No,
friend.
no, you're good. So hopefully, as long as most people can hear, it's fine, and the recording
Yeah.
should carry the voices through all the way. But
Sweet.
how many times have we also seen it in other DeFi protocols where of course, you got to have the audits, and then you want to make sure there's a multi-sig, and you want to know the track record of said developers, and yada yada. But that doesn't always pan out. Even Piston Race, they had a multi-sig, and it just died on its own tokenomics. There's some of these buzzwords that people really gravitate and put too much faith into that doesn't always pan out. And I say that because, in my opinion, and don't listen to me, guys. I'm just a chump on the internet, but with everything I've seen, I feel like 2.5 years in DeFi is, gosh, it's like dog years. It's like, man, 18 years in real life. But when it comes to Elephant and, before, so I've gotten to know BT for 2 years now on a personal level. I could literally just call him up and be like, dude, did you see that Netflix movie? Like, oh my God, we can do that. We can do that. And
yeah, that's awesome.
It's cool. Not a lot of people get that speed dial list right there, but I'm to the point where I'm like that. And there's a lot of FUD that goes on given his track record, but how I look at it is, first you got to make sure, is the guy nefarious or not? And here's my argument on why he's not nefarious, because remember, this guy is doxxed. We know he lives in a 2-bedroom apartment. People know his address. He's got 2 daughters. They know where they go to school. Like, there's no reason for him to be publicly out there going to conventions, right, speaking about Elephant and doing something nefarious when people can get him for one. So I think that helps. It's not everything, but it helps. And then 2, I can vouch for the fact that I don't think he's nefarious only because I see how much hard work he's put in even post exploit. So from my perspective, it's such that he's trying to truly build something that does work for all folks, whether you are poor or rich. The problem is the track record. Okay, so let's touch upon that. And when you look at everything that goes on, and you have to understand, BT is just like, he's a genius computer scientist from MIT, where people are strong in one area, they lack in another. So he may not be the most socially adept to like handle tough questions when he's under pressure, and he says things that are just a little different. You ask for 2 + 2 and you expect him to say 4, right? But he'll take like 10 minutes.
But SK, is that normal? Is that a personality trait for a lot of these devs? And not that I've got this long personality traits of dev in DeFi, because I've only been in this space for less than 2 years myself, but I am noticing a trend around personality types. And it seems like that social aspect, like the clear and concise communication, there's an opportunity there. You know what I mean? And we'll compare and contrast like another pretty prominent dev in the space where that's an opportunity, like Forex Shark. It's just interesting how they communicate. Like, they've got a mind to, in the case of BT, since we're talking about him specifically, to dev, right? To code. But then when it's like, hey, I need you to talk to this group of people and really help them understand your vision in a very clear and concise way to get them motivated to join, aka your herd, it doesn't come across as fiery, right? Am I making that up, or is that just me? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean, man. And, in the case of BT, like, I love the guy. And I think 9 times out of 10, when he does talk, it's fantastic, but it
Yeah,
just doesn't resonate with everyone. So then
correct.
that's where you get people like myself, for example. My skill is deciphering his message, deciphering that mind, and then silver tonguing it the way that I do on AMAs or on my
Yes.
YouTube channel. Like, and I'm not paid to do that. I just do it because I believe in the math and I want people to win. I'm in this just like you are in this. We all want financial freedom. And so you'll notice a shift that's happened even on my channel. I don't really talk about anything other than elephant now because truly it is the only thing I feel safe telling my community to where
Mm,
they won't get wrecked.
yeah.
And I say that because when it comes to BT, like the dude's a genius on how he built this new innovation we're looking at in DeFi, which is the Elephant Protocol. And again, it is the culmination of all of the successes, failures, exploits of his past. And you have to look at, everything that's happened before. It's all software development when you think about DeFi. Okay.
Yeah.
When the first iOS and first Android came out, there were bugs. Okay. These things take time to refine, optimize, and make correct for user adoption. And so when I look at the pedigree of bank tellers 25 plus years in business economics and being a CTO at Fidelity, and it's all of his resume, right? You
Yeah.
start to see that everything he's done for 6 years he's learned from all the successes, failures, exploits, and competition. He has wrapped everything up now in a complete package at Elephant Money that by and large is feature complete. There's nothing else that needs to change in Elephant Money. So if anyone's worried
Wow.
about, okay, is this reactor, so this thing called the reactor is what came out on Bankroll Flow, the thing before Drip that spawned the Drip revolution, and the reactor was just a buggy mess. And
Yeah.
it was well intended, but it just had flaws, and he learned from it. That's why Elephant Money is not going to have a reactor. There's nothing else that needs to change at Elephant. And as a complete package that it is now, and you see what it's doing to the charts overall, you do have the combination of success that we've finally been waiting for. That is just the culmination of everything he's gone through. So
Oh, I
I
love
would
it.
forget
Yeah.
about the past best you can, because all
Yeah.
of those things were stepping stones to get where we are today.
No, and I'm on board with that too, because again, when you're inside of the space initially, you don't know what you don't know. So you leverage everybody else's experiences to really get you up that learning curve quickly, right? So you're diving into Medium articles, you're joining Telegram groups, you're listening to hundreds of hours of YouTube videos, and based on someone else's perspective, that's probably a way that you then sway your decisions. Right or wrong, that's just part of what it is until you figure out what it is you need to know in the space. So, what I'm learning is when there was the initial exploit, again, personally new to this space, I'm thinking like, oh my goodness, I will never invest in a BT project ever again. He's just like all of the rest. And then if you just kind of dial it back and allow time to take its course, meaning let's see what happens. So he's fallen. He's not screaming he can't get up, but he's fallen. Let's see if he can get back up. And then let's figure out how he does that. Right. So I'll let you dive into how he did that. But the point that I want to make here is the more time you spend in a space and you realize that technology in and itself is extremely difficult and it evolves all the time because you have people in the space that are bad actors and they're going to force your hand to kind of shore up certain aspects of your contract, which is healthy. But again, what I realized about the space is it's okay to make a mistake. A mistake should not be a life sentence for everyone, right?
Right.
Whereas before I thought it was. I was thinking once someone proves to be something, then that's what they are for the rest of their life. That's not fair to anybody in the real world or in DeFi. Let's see what happens when they fall. How do they recover? Right? And based on how they recover, then it allows me to then trust them more. So for me, that's what I'm realizing about BT is that the way that he recovered is admirable, right?
Yeah.
So he acknowledged it. Hey, look, I made a mistake. That's the first thing. Accountability. He owned that shit. I made a mistake. Then he apologized. Then he was relentless with his communication to say, hey, here's our plan going forward. I'm going to keep my herd in communication. And so you guys know exactly what's going on, right? And I promise you, we're going to shore up the gaps within the contract. Just give us time. Everyone was patient, gave the guy time, and things are performing well. So again, it's not a life sentence when you make a mistake in this space. Not for everybody. And I'm not saying, look, trust every dev that potentially rugged you and give them a second chance. No. Remember I said, when they fall, how do they recover? That tells you a lot about the person and the community itself, right? All right, Moonshot Max and SC Crypto 101. I think I see you as well. Welcome to the call.
Yeah. What's up? If I could let me just finish one little point right there on that. It's exactly like you said, Drip to Wealth. It's about how they bounce back, right? Like after a $331 million flash loan, anybody could have just like given up and just threw in the towel and whatever. But when you have a year and a half of, I'm witnessing this guy painstakingly skip family events and he's just coding the next thing like the trunk farms, or he's doing this with the peanuts contract and he's thinking about futures, like everything he's been trying to just build, right? And he does this all on his own, right? He envisions something and he codes it, and he's just building upon the stepping stones that have come in the past. But just watching him, even just the first like 8 months after that exploit, oh my God, was this guy getting more gray hair? Was this guy literally skipping his daughter's, talent shows and just crazy things that like no father should go through, for one, no human. But he did it because he knew that he was on to something. And now here we are. Bertha's getting nursed back to health. She's starting to get her token dominance back again on the supply. And that's why overall you do see what's happening on that price chart. Even with the recent dump that we had, we're still bouncing back, and nothing's administratively compromised yet again. These are just dumps, and that's okay. Dumps are just redistribution of whales, and giving the little guy a chance to get in. So anyway, I'm just out there to try to prove my perspective, what I vouch for, which is this guy does not have nefarious intentions. He's not waiting for this to just rug on people. This isn't that. He's truly trying to save the narrative of DeFi is dead. Somebody has to do it. Someone has to crack the code. And Elephant Money right now today is at the precipice. We're at the cusp of going viral and giving everyone a second breath or a second chance in DeFi. So I'll end it with that. Moonshot Max, can you hear me?
Yo, what's good?
What's up, man? How you doing today?
Moonshot!
Man, I'm here just listening to the conversation. I was driving in traffic for like a couple hours, and then I didn't realize like the link was sent towards my phone, and I finally clicked on it, and I'm hearing about Elephant Money. I'm hearing about Bertha getting fat and happy. Yeah, man. So I bought the dip, man. I wasn't playing around, man. I bought that dip. I was telling everybody, like, listen, after the AMA and understanding how everything works, I'm like, this is an opportunity. Like I said in my video, people want the dip, but they can't handle the dip. You know what I'm saying? Because the minute the dip comes, because that's what you wish for. Everybody was
You
saying the
do.
same thing. Yo, everything's going up. It's going up every day. Yo, man, I'm not trying to jump in, man. I don't know what the top is. What the top is, man. Once we have a dip, I'm gonna jump in. And the minute they get that dip, the minute they get exactly what they asked for, they're still scared. They're like, yo, it's gonna go down even further. I'm like, yo, bro, dollar cost average, man. You don't need to sweat.
Yeah,
Just dollar cost
you're
average.
spot on, man. And let me get your
Soundbar.
thoughts on this, Moonshot, because like it's like you can't win when it comes to the average DeFi investor. So right, you show them a chart, it's doing nothing but go up, and they're like, nah, I don't know, I'll pass on that. Looks like a honeypot. And then you show them a chart that dips, and they're like, oh yeah, that thing looks dead. I'll pass on that. And then you show them a chart of it going sideways, and they're like, yeah, I'll just wait for a dip before I get in. It's like no matter what you show people,
No matter
it don't
what.
matter. Yeah.
It doesn't it doesn't matter because at the end of the day, they're scared to jump in because they truly don't understand. And that's how the life is. Like when you don't understand something and you don't really understand the nitty gritty, you are not going to jump in because something is telling you, I don't really understand it yet, so why should I invest my money? Like when people invest in meme coins, that's an easy understanding. Yo, this is all about hype. Hype is coming, Twitter spaces, this and that and third, and the price is going to go up, and they just invest because it's like, oh, it's a meme, right? It's simple to understand. But when you have a protocol, even like elephant money is not really simple to understand because a lot of people don't like education in crypto. They don't like to sit down and really think about things and like examine things. They want you to tell them you are going to make $1 million if you put money into this project. And when it comes to a sophisticated project like elephant money,
Yeah.
like they really don't understand it. So that's why they're still sitting on the sidelines. And even the ones that do understand it, they still like, man, based off history, I lost a lot of money. I'm not trying to lose a lot of money. And I put in 5,000. Now it turned to 30. I mean, it turns to 3,000. I don't want to keep watching this go down, but they're not having that peace of mind because they still don't truly understand the system.
Yeah, and Moonshot, to your point, that is probably like one of the biggest risks with DeFi, with like user adoption. It can
Hmm.
be a bit complex, right? If it's not straightforward, if it's not that simple, then people don't want to spend the time trying to understand it. So they'll do something like a meme coin because that's pretty
Yep.
simple to understand, right? So
Yeah.
to your point, it's really about the messaging that, as an example, you and SK continue to promote on your YouTube channels and these various AMAs. It's really educating people about your specific protocol, but the space itself. Like that is the one thing we've got to really attempt to solve for, and that's making DeFi simple, right? Simple for
Hmm.
the average person because it doesn't require a lot of capital. It's really just how do I access it and what am I supposed to do? And that leads me to the other point I want you guys to think about that. So the complexity is one thing, but
This space was downloaded via spacesdown.com. Visit to download your spaces today.
then the other piece of it is when we're talking about looking at these charts and people not really knowing what to do. Like part of it is people are putting money in crypto without an investment strategy. They're just throwing money all over the place. They're not understanding when to get in. What's an indication for me to get out? What's my all-time high price that I'm looking for? What's the bottom? What's the price I'm looking for? What's the bottom at so I know to get out of this thing? Like none of those things are established
Right.
before they start investing. And I'm being honest, I didn't do that either. And I'm a highly educated person. I invest in the real world, but when I came into crypto, I forgot everything. It was like I was thrown into kindergarten. I was learning everything all over again. We forget the fundamentals of investing. So we've got to make it simple and people have got to have a plan.
Right. Right. What I'd add to that even is I think ultimately that's the goal of what Elephant's aiming to do because just like you said on a meme coin launch or any token launch, if you're not early, you're normally going to get dumped on and be left holding the bag because you don't know who these whales are, and you already know the spiel. When Bertha actually becomes of size, because right now she's not even pre-exploit size yet. We have to cross 212 trillion, and she's only at 177 trillion right now. But as she grows in more token dominance, what you will see in the future, right? Don't get spoiled by the chart going parabolic or doing whatever it's doing recently. You need to look at the long term, but it's aiming to be something that you can literally just throw a couple $100 in on Elephant token and you check back 3 months later and it's up. Overall, the trajectory is supposed to go up because of all of the other products under the umbrella, like futures and NFTs. All of those things that take people's capital, all it's doing is taking that incoming capital to buy Elephant token for Bertha. Everything's pointed at Bertha. And the bigger she gets, you should have a more ethical DeFi protocol where people get in and they're not winning just because they're early, but they're winning because the protocol has their back. The protocol is locking up more tokens. And even with what we saw with the recent dump, Bertha's not of size. And look, Bertha didn't dump a single token. She performed exactly like she's supposed to do, but we still don't have enough distribution because we haven't gone viral yet. We're still only at 30,000 holders. But what happens when we're at 3 million holders? What happens when that token distribution's healthier and Bertha's even larger? You get a coin that actually, or a token that doesn't actually dump, and everybody wins. That's the goal. We're just still early in it, 2.5 years in.
Yeah, I dig that. No, I'm okay with that. Let's see who we got on here. As crypto. Mo, I see you joined Trap. NYC. Let's see. Nugs is still there. Man, we got some new faces. I'm wondering if they're here for Element Token. The Dejan Gambler. I wanted to shout you out because we had some nice exchanges on X earlier this week. And that's what I like about healthy conversations, right? People can make a point to make you aware of a concern because there was some back and forth banter around two communities at large really going back and forth with each other, more specifically Drip and the EM community. And for me personally, I don't understand that beef. It's just really really a couple of individuals within the community at a very high level above my pay grade. And I could care less, right? Because I've entered the space to really make money and educate people on crypto and these massive opportunities if you invest in the right ones. So I don't engage in drama in the real world. So I definitely am not going to do it in this fake space called Twitter and YouTube. That's just silly and a waste of time. But it's important for us to realize that that's part of the problem of DeFi is that we've got these internal wars that started with a handful of people and they send out these narratives and people blindly follow these narratives. And the problem with that is it creates destructions for all of these other cryptocurrency protocols. Like I've seen it happen. And I just want us to avoid those types of exchanges, interactions with each other, because it's really DeFi, aka crypto, against traditional finance. Like that's our true enemy. It's not EM, it's not Drip, right? I want all of those protocols to be successful because if they are, then the small people make money, right? So it's really crypto against TradeFi. I want everybody on this call to remember that, right? So we've got this vested interest to make sure that DeFi works. That gives us our advantage over traditional finance because who owns the assets? We do. We own the assets. So if we own the assets, we better figure out a way to play nice, right? Figure out a way to collaborate with each other on these projects. Stop burning these fucking bridges. It's a waste of time and real money. So for people who are kind of diving on this call right now and kind of shocked that we've gone into this extensive conversation about elephant money, that's okay, right? That should be fine, right? Because again, remember what I said, we're all in DeFi, here to make money, right? So if elephant money is trending in the right direction, why not find out as much information about elephant money as you can so you can make an informed decision whether you invest or not, right? So that's why we're here. All right. So I'm off my soapbox. Trap, raise his hand. I'm gonna let you speak, Trap.
Hey, real quick, man. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Shout out to fucking Drip the Wealth. Let's go. You feel me?
Hey, Soundbird, baby.
Hey, I do want to say one thing. What up, Mirage? One thing I have noticed
Yo,
in
yo.
DeFi, you know, what the fuck is going on in DeFi? What I've noticed is people are starting to smell the coffee. And what I mean by that is it's not just one lawn of grass we can play on.
Yes.
We can go across the street. I might go to my neighbor's backyard. You know, I'm always coming up with these
I
examples and
love him.
analogies. Right. And people are starting to realize that, wait, I don't have to sit on my driveway all day. I can get off the porch,
Yes.
right? And people are starting to go, this blockchain, this project. Even if they're not getting in completely, they're talking about it
Yes.
instead of just focusing on one particular thing. And I love to see it. Another thing, Trap may be lucky. You know, I always got to talk my shit. Trap might be lucky because I thought elephant money was a dead horse. I was kicking it on the ground. And then I kept hearing this talk, like, why do people keep talking? Let me look at the chart. And I said, holy, for 2 years, at least a year and a half, I'm thinking it was on the floor. And you mean to tell me it's almost all-time
Absolutely.
highs? And I got a bag?
Yes.
Oh, I'm gone. So sorry for doing that first red candle, y'all. I'm so sorry, but I'm glad y'all was able to get the dip. Love you all. You know, I'm in the trap house right now, so I'm going to go on mute. But shout out to y'all, man.
Right on, Trap. Appreciate you, brother. All right. SK, Mo, I see you. I'm going to see if SK's got a moment because he's in as a speaker. I wonder if he's working out. I just want to give him a chance to talk.
Right.
All right. And let's do this too. SK, I'll let you jump back in. Because what we were talking about was what the freaking frat is going on in DeFi. That's really the conversation I wanted to have today. And part of it was to kind of bring up what we experienced in the last 48 hours of EM, right? But then also something like Big O Well. That's not the first time we've seen something where a protocol was humming along for 6 to 12 months. Everything seemed to be okay. And then one day you wake up and everything is gone. And the creators are blaming it on external sources, right? And no one has the resources that I'm aware of to kind of figure out if it's an inside job or an outside job. So when I see stuff like that, I keep asking myself, this is going to be a problem for user adoption, like mass adoption. This is going to be a problem if 9 out of 10 protocols rug, right? So how do we protect ourselves from stuff like that? So that was the type of conversation I wanted to have. But we also got into this EM conversation as well. So for people who are listening, we can still have those types of conversations because part of it is, hey, let's talk through some of the shortcomings of DeFi, which is it's just freaking early. It just is, man. There's not enough sophisticated developers in the space. There's quite a few bad actors that are taking advantage of, you know, these early adopters who doesn't have a lot of experience, right? So they're just fucking feeding on us, and it's unfair. So it's really up to us as investors to become wiser with where we invest our capital, how much we invest. How do we then do our own research to then vet a protocol, right? Where do we start? Who do we listen to? Like, we've got to start thinking about those types of things as well. All right. Anybody want to chime in? Let me know.
Yeah, I'll throw something out there too. You know, that's been my experience too. 9 times out of 10 things that I've touched, they just go belly up. Like, look, you could even go, you know, I run a Telegram private group, and I've always been like letting people know about, hey guys, I'm looking at this thing. It's called EMP, like AJ Brockman, blah, blah, blah. Like, shout out to him. But like, I put this on people's radar, and then 8 months later it goes belly up. Or, hey, there's ARC Finance, and hey, here's Furio, and then 6 months later it goes belly up. And man, it's left such a bad taste in my mouth that now, even though personally guys, I have diversified into everything every one of you guys are in, except Big Whale. I did skip that. So I did it.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
missed. I got lucky. Skip that
But
one too. Yeah.
it's to the point now where, like, man, when people ask me to make a video or they want to collab or whatever, I just, man, it's to the point where I just say no. Like, look, there's too many things out there, in my opinion, that are just too risky. They're low liquidity startups from these inexperienced, unknown teams that sound really good, but then they just, like, look at Wolf Capital, for example. Like, that sounded really too good to be true. Yeah, they got trading and they're going
Yeah.
to move away from Ponzi-nomics. And then, oh, lo and behold, a hack comes. And it's like, who are these guys that made Wolf Capital, right? Like, what was their previous stuff? Again, they're just unknown, inexperienced ass people. So now it's to the point, and this is why I bang on the elephant money drum even harder, is you look at the history, like, even if you just zoom all the way out, exploit included, 48 hours of sell included, look at the overall trend line of this protocol, and it is going up. Okay, at the end of the day, it's going up. And you have this thing out there called the Lindy effect, and all it boils down to meaning is the longer that a protocol thrives and survives, it just increases the probability that it will continue to thrive and survive. And when you look at Elephant at already 2.5 years old, guys, like, and it's only going up after 2.5 years. Look at the trend line again, zoom out. That starts to really build people's confidence, right? And even, I'm sure Moonshot could jump in on this too, but when I had a conversation with them offline, it was like, man, how did I never hear about this protocol? Like, look at this trend line. Oh my God, blah, blah, blah. Then we did our AMA. And now, even through the worst 48 hours, like, he's probably negative. I bet you his portfolio is underwater when that 48 hours of selling happened. But yet he still bought the dip. Why? Because he, as a math teacher too, I know he knows his stuff and does his research, but he understood the fundamentals of why for 2.5 years this protocol has been just killing it. And that's why he
Yeah.
bought the dip, right? So that's the opportunity that you have here, which is looking at something that's actually trying to transcend all the tribalism, the stuff that you mentioned, Drip to Wealth, like, oh yeah, this and that against M or Drip. Like, dude, I don't subscribe to any of that. I'm good vibes only. Like, you will never catch me saying anything bad on my YouTube videos, whereas you got other people calling, meth heads and stuff out there for haters. Like, come on, guys. Like, literally just go where the money
Yeah.
is, go with what's working. And, my argument would be Elephant's the best place.
Got it. I'm curious to know, like, Moonshot, how did you not
Yo,
hear about EM?
I would say the reason why I didn't hear about EM is because I closed my ear to Elephant Money.
Yep.
Being in the Drip network, I was dabbling in other projects and I always had that on the side. But because of the reputation and the allure of bank teller and certain things that transpired that they talked about, I had trust in those specific people and said, well, I don't think they're lying about that. So due to those bias, right, reasons that I heard, it closed my ear to Elephant Money. Whereas I'm a person that I'm always looking for a green chart and always looking for a project. And I kind of saw Elephant Money, but always turned the other cheek.
Yes.
So once I finally woke up, because I'm like, listen, at this point, someone told me in my Telegram group, like, yo, Moonshot, yo, you should check out Elephant Money. I was like, I don't know, but if you could get somebody to explain it to me, then I'll check it out. And then I say, you know what? You don't have to get somebody to, like, explain to me. I'm gonna go and do the research myself. So I DM'd SK Crypto K, like, straight up. I was like, yo, listen, man, what's up? Hey, this is Moonshot Max, and I want to hear about Elephant Money. And I know he was probably like, yo, who is this dude? Like, he just coming up to me straight gangster and just like, yo, what's up with Elephant Money? But that's the type of person I am. I'm like, I don't need to go to anybody else. I want to go to the source. If I
Yes.
could have DM bank teller and talk with him one-on-one, I would have
Yeah.
done it right then and there, because I like to get truth from the source. So after me and him had a conversation, I was like, okay, cool. Let them come on the channel and let them break this down to me, man, because I'm very, very interested. So that's how it started. The whole point of being closed-minded and your ears are closed because you had faith in other people and you
Yeah.
took their word
Like,
for it.
yeah, if I could add to that
Totally.
too, that plays into exactly like Drip to Wealth mentioned. It's the tribalism, right? Like you got trusted people that, unfortunately, I don't know who these people are, but sometimes it's like the telephone game, right? You just hear one thing from someone and then you regurgitate it a different way to the next person, and then without everyone's in DeFi, they're fickle. They don't really do their hardcore research, and they just go off of someone else that they trust. And
Totally.
unfortunately, that's, I think, plagued a lot of people. Like, even my new friend Brandon, the Drip Guide. Now he's a DeFi guide. Like, I talked to him. I talked to a number of different people who fell in that same bucket of just, oh, I heard
Yeah.
this, I heard that. But then when you really dial in, like Moonshot Max did, and look at the numbers and the math and the tokenomics, they just speak for themselves. Never mind, bank teller, but like the numbers just, and the chart speaks for itself. And it's cool, because bank teller is not accessible, right? So I'm glad he reached out to me, because I tried my best to be as accessible as possible. And I'm on the phone every day leaving voice notes to teach people about M. But I didn't know who Moonshot Max was when he came to me. I live in my own little bubble. And when he reached out to me and I checked out his channel, and I'm like, okay, so I see he talks about a lot of different things. It's cool. Elephant's got his interest. Let me talk with him. And then I started to really watch his channel. And then we did the AMA. And now I can't get his whole intro song, Moonshot to the max, like Moonshot Max. And like, dude, I jammed out to that thing. I loved it. But it's an incredible friendship. I love meeting new people. And Moonshot Max, he's one of my friends now, man. Like, I can't wait to continue talking about these protocols together for years to come, because we're in this together against TradFi, like you said.
Man, that's fantastic. Let me see if I can get the soundbar working today.
Hey, I
One
do
more
have to
time.
say that Moonshot, that intro is pretty catchy.
S
Oh yeah,
Crypto 101.
S Crypto
What up?
Yo
What's
was in the house.
Hey, what's good,
Hey,
people?
let me do a sound check really quick, because I've got one other person maybe a few seconds ago had an issue with the sound. All right, so I do need participation. Please, please, please. How is the sound quality? Thumbs up. Give me a thumbs up. Everyone, please let me know if you can hear us, because we are dropping gems. I need to make sure people are getting the content, please. All right. Okay. It looks like the majority of the folks are getting it. Okay. Perfect. SC, welcome to the call, brother.
Yo, what's going
You,
on?
brother, anything you want to add?
No, I just kind of been listening. So, I mean, I think that, there's a lot of good points that have been made. And I just think, DeFi is just one of those things. We're going through the early stages of it. So, there's always some blood that comes with that. And I think that we're still early here. And there's definitely projects that are standing out and doing it the right way. And I think people just need to, or investors just have to match their expectations with what they're getting into. It's just like the real world, right? You don't sit there and come up with a half-assed business plan and then expect for people to invest in your project. You have to have something that's built out. You have to have all your I's dotted, your T's crossed to be good to go. So I think it's really like the same thing. It's going to get to the point to where the standard is a lot higher, and I think that's necessary for us to get more people into crypto in general, especially DeFi. Totally. So the standard's going to be raised, and the people who don't meet that standard aren't going to be able to raise the capital and stuff that they need for those projects. So I think it's just going to get harder and harder. But that's what we're going to need in this space. We need people who have their shit together, and it's something that you can invest in for the long term.
Man, soundbar. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm clapping for myself.
Yeah, did it not go? Man, there is something with the tech today. Let me try one more time. Something's got to be off because I'm getting too many people chiming in that they can't hear. So let's try. That's crypto. Did that come through okay?
It kind of broke out a
Yeah,
little
so
bit
there
right
probably is
after you
something with
said
the
that.
connection. Yeah. That's horrible.
Yeah, I'm not hearing anything from a sound bar. I hear you speak, but no
Yeah.
effects.
Okay, so that means there's something definitely going on with X today, but we're going to work through it. We're going to give it like another 15 minutes or so. So, look, SC, I agree with you on this point. I want you guys to chime in. In order for us really to get the multiple exits that we're seeking in a lot of these gems that we're holding, specifically like EM as an example, since we've talked about that at length today, we're going to need like mass adoption. In order to get mass adoption with staying power, they've got to trust in the protocol that they're investing in, right? So for me, we do have to level up the communication, the tokenomics, and the education so that people can then trust us with their dollars. So I'm on board with that analogy, man. Like, I cannot wait until every cycle turns the page because we're going to be bringing in more and more people like yourself into the space, right? Like Moonshot and Mo and LD and SK and Trap and Papa Nugs and Emmett. And I throw those names out really quickly because I know those guys got into this space with the intent of making money, like all of us. But they've actually taken it a step further. They've created their own protocols and they're working on their own protocols, right? So they are forcing us to level up the technology because they're bringing all of their skills from the real world in the way that they communicate, the way that they execute, the way that they manage projects, the way that they become, they think inclusivity, right? All of these things they're bringing into the space. So it's leveling up the expectations cycle after cycle after cycle. So it's inevitable that more and more people are going to adopt crypto and DeFi specifically so that we can experience the multiple X's, right? So I'm on board with that as Crypto 101. All right, let's do this really quick. Let me ask you guys, because we've talked about like some of the shortcomings of the space. Like, what are some of the massive benefits of being early in DeFi? Any thoughts there? I tell you this, me personally, um, I think I compared it to like an initial public offering at a stock or buying something on pre-sale. You're always going to get favorable pricing, right? So in general, it should be about equal to cost, right? Definitely lower than what someone's going to pay for at market. Whenever you are able to get access to those type of cryptocurrencies, it puts you in a position where you're pretty much guaranteed not to lose any money. Maybe worst case scenario, you kind of break even. But if the execution is done well with the proper marketing, you could make a significant amount of money in a relatively short period of time, right? That's one obvious benefit if we want to just kind of stay on a conversation around the money. The other aspect of it is the education piece of it. Like right now, the less than 10% of us are in crypto actively trading cryptocurrencies, and we're getting a on the job training, literally on the job training every single day, which means over time we're going to be considered thought leaders in the space. People are going to look to us for content and education, and that could create massive opportunities for us in the space, right? To be influencers that travel the globe, influencers that people want to participate and come onto your channel and do an AMA or ask you to promote their product, right? By us being early and really rolling our sleeves up to understand the space and how it works and how we take the information that seems extremely complicated to the average individual and dumb it down so that it makes sense to most people. Like that's another massive advantage of us kind of being early in the space.
I agree with that too, man. There's this other group that I've spoken to. Their specialty is actually onboarding people. So to answer your question about like, you know, what the upside of all of us on this call right now and anybody that's participating in DeFi, I would go on to say that we are pretty much like the hardcore. You know, if you go bring this over to your mom or dad, like they don't want to get in. It's too hard. You can't just like sign up with a credit card and get in, you know, to Elephant, for example. It requires all these hoops and hurdles and what bank works with what exchange like Coinbase or crypto.com. And then now you got to talk about hardware wallets. It's very cumbersome. But you know, with the moves at the macro level, like BlackRock coming in with Bitcoin ETFs and all these trillions of dollars that's inevitably coming into the DeFi space, I think is going to help onboard like even banks and whatnot. Like next thing you know, Bitcoin is going to be accepted at Bank of America, and then maybe they have like a wallet that you can use. So I think all that time's coming. It's just it just seems like it can't happen soon enough, but you know, this is the
Yeah,
future in my opinion.
I agree, SK. I agree. Anybody else? NYC, I see you pop back on. I know you got some thoughts. Let me hear from you if you got time, my friend. Yeah, SK, I think we're early, my friend. I know we're early. And this is my first bear cycle, but I'm hearing that this has been the longest bear cycle in crypto history. And it seems like it's only going to get a bit longer because it's only October. We haven't even gone through the end of the year. And the halving is coming sometime in 2024, right? But that's no guarantee. But in theory, it's coming in 2024. I've heard estimates around April, but again, that's no guarantee. So if we take the math and we say we've got, I don't know, 3 more months in 2023 plus another 4 in 2024, that's like another 7 months of bear, either, dips or trading sideways. That is a long, slow, painful process. So, what have you done in the past to feel comfortable in a bear market, my friend?
Yeah, that's a tough one, man. Everyone's kind of, you know, shrouded up in their little shells because where do you put your money? It's not going to crash. You could drop it into stables like a lot of people do after a bull cycle. They'll sell off profits, hold it in stables, but the stables are based on the USD currency, which we already know is getting clobbered in dominance in the world with the rise of BRICS and inflation. So really holding it in a stable, you're still going down in value in an odd way. Um, so, you know, what I've personally been doing is everything that you already know. I'm going to say is I've just been trying to DCA as much into my positions within Elephant because I still think you're really early on this. You know, when you think of Bitcoin being, I don't know, 13 years old or some odd, it's taken all of those years for it to get mass adoption the way it is. And with, you know, BlackRock coming in, it's only going to get even more bolstered. However, you know, for fun over on Elephant, if you take the 1 quadrillion supply and make it a 21 million supply just for fun, like a Bitcoin, you're actually looking at like a $20 Bitcoin right now. So there's huge upside, especially when we are reported accurately. So right now, if you look on CoinGecko, CoinMarketCap, we're in the top 60s of all 100 cryptos. You just don't see us on the list because they don't want to report the graveyard 50% in circulating supply, but that's something that we'll work through. However, if we were reported accurately, we would already be in the top 60s. So think about the upside when we start smashing the top 30, the top 20, the top 10, and then all of these, you know, gatekeepers, they have no choice but to recognize us. And then that adoption with Elephant leading the charge in that regard for DeFi, being in a top 10 crypto, hanging with the big dogs, that's going to be something to witness, guys. Like, you really are early when you look at that chart.
Man, so let's go back to that one really quick, because I've been seeing a bunch of tweets on the question to CoinGecko and CoinMarketCap. Like, let's revisit that one more time. So why haven't they posted you guys on their exchanges?
So it's a couple of reasons, but to keep it simple, they like to favor tokens that are on centralized exchanges, for example. So you can go trade Pepe and Dogecoin with no tax in and out, right? Whereas Elephant, we have a fee that's collected. So because of that, we don't want to go to centralized exchanges, because then Bertha, the treasury, doesn't get her cut. So that's one avenue on why they're gatekeeping. The second reason is because they don't understand, or they're refusing to understand, that the graveyard. So remember, there's 1,000 trillion tokens that can ever exist on Elephant, and half of that is held in the graveyard. It is a smart contract, not a burn address. It is a smart contract that over time, with the fee collection in and out, it earns reflection tokens and builds from 50% up to a 51%, and then it rebalances back down by putting that 1% difference into lock liquidity. What their hangup is that, in our opinion, what it truly is that graveyard is an active participant. It's just ping-ponging between 50 and 51%, but that is an active participant. They are not counting that as an active participant. They are saying that should be excluded because that is not part of the circulating supply, and that's where they have that wrong. So if we're actually at, I don't know, a 500 million market cap, in their view, we are 50% less than that. So we're actually in only a 250 million market cap, which, is fine, because one day when Elephant, let's say, does cross a 2 billion market cap, if they're still not reporting us, we still get listed as a 1 billion market cap, and it gets interesting.
Totally. Yeah, I've always wanted to understand the rationale why they haven't listed. But so is there still a fight to be had, or you guys are just going to say, it is what it is? We're not going to get listed. We're just going to take the information that they post, which is 50% of our market cap. It is what it is at this point. Or are you guys fighting pretty hard to convince them that the graveyard should be included?
No, the fight continues. We've got a community member named Mike Dre who's in the fintech world, and he's charging that argument with them. So it's inevitable that it will happen. I just don't know the time frame of when it'll happen.
Totally. Okay, that can mean great news for years to come. Fantastic. All right, fantastic. All right, so look, we've got about 5 to 6 minutes left. SK, man, I appreciate you jumping in. It was definitely impromptu, but your insights are fantastic, not just on EM, but just your experience in the space provides great perspective for someone like myself and maybe all the other people who have been in the space for less than a couple of years. Bear markets, and we'll kind of leave with this thought in mind, because I want people to really take advantage of the space that we're in now. I hear it all the time, and I want to make certain that my testimony aligns with all of the stories that I've heard in the past. Like, bear markets is when the money's really made. And that means that allows us time to buy the right cryptocurrencies on sale. And when I say buy them, I'm talking about really being smart about it, especially if you're the average person with, very limited disposable income, because you're battling, all of these inflated prices just to keep your lights on and put food on the table, right? So with what very limited disposable income you have, you want to make certain that you DCA into the right cryptocurrencies and just be consistent with that mindset, right? So when I think about a bear market, this is the time for people to educate and accumulate, right? Educate yourself on the space in general so that you can become this authoritative figure, this resident expert within your community or just the space in general, and then accumulate the right cryptocurrency. So we'll add EM to the list, right? And then for those people who still firmly believe in the drip 2.0, this would also be a great time for you guys to accumulate in a coin that has expectations of eventually becoming deflationary, right? So use this time to do those things, right? So educate and accumulate the right cryptocurrencies. And then when you do that, it's all about establishing a true investment strategy, like really understanding how much you're willing to risk. When do you buy in? How frequently do you DCA? When do you sell? Like, establish those principles for yourself without the help of some external source who really doesn't understand your position, right? So I am doubling down on the right cryptos. And because SK is on here, I'm gonna give EM a shout out. I also bought the dip for EM because I established certain targets. There was a EM token target that I wanted to accumulate, and I was going to be able to buy EM at a 23 to 25% discount because it aligned with my target. You fast forward 24 hours later, I'm up in my position financially and my token count. It was all because I had a plan going in, right? So, for everybody listening, the bear market is where the money is made. Use the time wisely. Eliminate the emotions. Start using that big muscle inside of your skull called the brain. Like, literally, start using that thing to make financial decisions because you have it in you to do the right thing. You've got instincts and you've got access to resources. The final thing, which goes without saying, but we probably want to be explicit because that's why people are here at SK, is relationships. Like, I got into this space not at all intending to form long-standing relationships with people in this space. That has been a massive bonus, right? Because all that does is it accelerates my learning curve. Because within these small groups, we all have different challenges that we've all experienced at different points in our lives. And we can ask questions or form an opinion or a thought, and we'll get instant feedback. And typically that evolves into fewer and fewer mistakes and less money lost, but more and more money made. And most of these relationships will actually last for many, many moons to come. Right. So on this call specifically, man, I've got some dope people that have become a part of my small circle. And what we do is we actually include each other in conversations that give us an opportunity to make money. Like, hey, I've got the inside scoop on a particular cryptocurrency that may be launching pretty quickly. You maybe want to check it out. Hey, thanks for that. And if we decide to invest in it because we're getting in on the ground floor, we're making a little money. Or, hey, I've got the inside scoop on this particular cryptocurrency. You probably want to stay away from that. Thanks, you just saved me a ton of money. Right? Hey, I've got this great Medium article to help people understand EM. You probably want to follow them. Thanks. Right? These relationships in this space, form them. How you do that? Well, you join spaces and you actually raise your hand and you talk. You actually subscribe to people's YouTube channels, right? You actually start to follow these people on Twitter and actually engage with them in conversations. All of these things are getting your reps in during this bear market. So don't waste the time, ladies and gents. Don't waste the time. Anyway, that's all I got. SK Trap. Do you guys want to leave the audience with anything?
Yeah, I guess I'll say something else here, man, but you're spot on as far as, networking. I think, in my experience, when I first dove in, when I first found my first DeFi project, right, it was all about, let me jump into these Telegram groups and let me ask these questions. Like, I was that noob. At one point, I was the noobest of noobs. I was like, how do I get my money into this MetaMask? Wait, what? Like, dude, that was me. That was me.
Right.
And, along the way, I've made a lot of friends. I actually see some of them in here, but like maybe he'll, subscribe to you. But Malcolm Dare, right there, I met him while working at a project called H&W. And one of the things, like, going into the spider web of everyone he knows and how he's connected. If I got a question, I know I can reach out to him if need be, or vice versa. It's all about, your network is your net worth, right? And the people
Fantastic.
that
Love it.
man, it can really excel you in this DeFi landscape.
Spot on. Can the soundbar work? Let's see if we got it. Did we get any volume on my soundbar this time?
No.
God darn it. Well, SK, man, look, man, that's like my calling name. Anytime. Who's hit me with it? Who's hit me? Is that my guy
There's
Trap?
Trap.
Trap.
There's Trap.
That's what I'm saying. See, that's my network coming in. They got my back. No, SK, again, man, I appreciate you jumping on. Very spontaneous move on your part. And we dove into an EM conversation, which was fantastic, but it all evolved around a DeFi conversation, right? But we were using Elephant to kind of pull up some of these points around tokenomics, bad actors, making mistakes, recovering from those things, DCAing, leveraging relationships in the space. All of these wonderful things are necessary, especially if we're seeking mass adoption. We've got to get mass adoption to get to the multiple X's. So anything that we can do as content creators, thought leaders in the space, we need to really collaborate on these types of things to really get the word out. So again, I'm moving away from beef in the space and more towards collaborating in the space. So for all my drippers and my EM individuals, it is time to drop the firearms, right? It is time to start constructing this bridge and collaborating with each other, because the enemy is not these two protocols. The enemy is traditional finance. Let's really focus on the macro. Let's get away from this micro infighting. It's just dumb and silly. Let's get back to making money in the space by leveraging relationships and collaborating. All right. Long-winded, but as usual, I appreciate your time. I wish you all peace and prosperity. Stay hydrated, everyone. All right. SK, again, you're the best, brother. We'll be talking soon. Trap,
Thanks.
Lady Mania, Blockchain Bay, Post Strip, Papa Nugs, LD. I see you. Lavelle in the space. That's Crypto 101. K-Lo. Ladies of the Faucet, always representing hard. Trap in the building. Who else we got? Emmett. I see you hung on there forever. Fantastic. I appreciate you. Artificial Mike. Dan. You and I have actually been going back and forth in Twitter. Again, I appreciate constructive criticism. I appreciate spirited debates, because personally, I like it because it challenges me. It forces me to make certain that I understand what I'm talking about. And if someone brings something to my attention that I hadn't thought about, now it gives me something to research and understand further. So for me, I don't mind the pushback. It's the way that the pushback is delivered that turns me off. And none of that has happened between you and I. So I appreciate the feedback, my friend. Welcome to the call. Wise Token. Appreciate you hanging out with us. Who else we got? Is it Hot Rod Crypto? Yep, Hot Rod Crypto. Thank you. Ill Views 369. Welcome. Who else we got? Relo Golden. That's a great picture. And Keith, appreciate you hanging out with us. I want to make sure I didn't skip anybody. Yep, got you. And who is this? Ray0X. Thanks for joining us. Power 2567 in the building. Malcolm, you got a shout out for SK. You must be a celebrity. Thanks for joining us. I will follow you, my friend, right now. Boom. Done and done. Who else we got? Glenn, thanks for joining us. Crypto Manifest. That is the dopest one I've heard tonight. Welcome. DeFi, DB with the dog. Oh, here's another one. The Degen Gambler. Right on, Degen Gambler. I'm actually going to follow you too, my friend. Same thing. Hey, we got into a conversation with the Degen Gambler and Blockchain Bay. Same thing. It was some infighting between, to me, two of the biggest DeFi players in the space, which was just crazy. And again, I think it's a stale conversation between some OGs. I don't want the new jacks in the space really being pulled into that nonsense because, again, that's not why I'm here. If they have some personal beef between them, let it stay there. I have no idea the history, nor do I care about the history. I'm focused on the future, and that is making money in the space. So if someone says something out of pocket, go to the source because their opinion of EM is not aligned with mine, right? So hey, my friend, welcome, and I just followed you. Right on. Who else do we have?
Crypto Wealth, I see that bank teller just joined.
Oh, did he really? Jesus.
Yeah, make sure you drop him a follow.
Let me see if I can find him. He's probably near the bottom. Da, 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 da. What's his handle so I don't miss it?
Tony on crypto.
Tony on crypto. Da, 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 da. I don't see it. Is he at the top? Let me go to the top. Tony on crypto. Dun, 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 dun. That's right. I'm gonna follow everybody. How about that? I'll make sure I don't miss anyone. I'm actually gonna follow everyone. That's easy. That was easy. All right, let me get to the name calling because I want everybody to feel like a celebrity. Anytime somebody shouts out my name, I feel like a celebrity. Watford FC South America. Welcome to the call, my friend. Then we also have Math Loves Crypto. You and Moonshot Max will get along quite well. SKC, welcome. M3SH, appreciate you for hanging in there. Crypto Flyer, Elephant Money, I wonder who you support. You get a follow, my friend. Right on. Who else do we have on here? Straight Passive. That is dope. He spelled it STR8. Straight Passive. And I said it right. Follow. Got you, my friend. Who else do we have? I think I've seen this person. Is it CC Crypto Man? I should know him, right, SK? I believe so.
Yeah. He's my connect with James Pelton. We go onto Pelton's channel once a month to talk M.
Right on. And I think that's where I saw him. CC Crypto Man, welcome. You just got to follow as well. Who else we got? All right. T Blizzak. I know I said that right. T Blizzak. OP1 Success. Welcome. Appreciate you hanging in there. All right. Who else do we have? We have, how do I pronounce this one? Donato? Yeah. Is it Donato? I'm going to say that. Donato. Welcome to the call. Appreciate you. And finally, we have Hop Cobra. Appreciate you. I'm going to follow everyone on this call. I appreciate you guys hanging in there. You guys are the best. I say this at the end of each spaces, and I sincerely mean it. I wish you all peace and prosperity. Stay hydrated, everyone. Take care. All right, let me get everyone followed. Then I'm not following before everyone cuts off. Don't cut off unless I follow you. I'm a big deal. At least that's what my mom says. So, so don't cut off until I follow you. Boom. All righty. Let's make sure I get everybody. Okay, I see him now. I see you, bank teller. I got you, my friend. Welcome to the call. Man, I would have loved to have you on. So we're going to be deliberate about that. I will set aside time to get you onto one of our spaces. That will be a treat and something I believe all the listeners will look forward to. All right. Let me get everybody. Got him. Yep. Got him. Yep. Man, EM represented today. That community, aka
Yeah, shout out to Emmett. he
yeah.
wrote me in. He's like, "Hey man, you available?" Yeah.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Yeah. Emmett is one of my good friends. Man, I've got a really good circle of influence, and I'm pretty proud of that. All right, I think I got everybody. Yep, I did. All right, SK, it's official, my friend. I got everybody followed, and again, I appreciate you jumping on at the last minute and really engaging in the conversation to address some really specific questions, but then talk broadly about DeFi. This was a treat, my friend. Appreciate you.
Awesome, man. No, thanks for the platform and hosting, brother.
Right on. We'll be in touch, my friend. All right, everyone, take care. Have a good night.
This space was downloaded via spacesdown.com. Visit to download your spaces today. 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 Download